we are going to create our own hoop mask with ease, and it's even going to be pretty. So what will you need to make a hoop mask? A hoop mask is very effective, and I'm going to show you a super cheap way to have one that's really professional and will give you the best results. So I want you to pick up a placemat, like these plastic type of placemats, and I got this beautiful one from the dollar store, and you get different ones. You even get one that is like more glossy or shiny. Look at this one, it says bless this kitchen. So go pick one up for $1, or take an old one if you've got one, right? And then the other thing you will need to make your hoop mask is you are going to take project board that you can also buy from any stationery place or even at the dollar store. So you're going to use this project board. This is what I've used. So I went ahead and I already cut the piece that I want, and you are going to cut out a piece of 13 by 11 inches. That is the piece I'm going to work on. But before we get started talking about, you can see this is the hoop mask that we are going to do. Here is another one. You don't have to make one larger than like the 5 by 7 or even the 4 by 4. So you don't have to make a hoop mask for each one of your larger hoops. You can simply take your hoop mask, and whenever you are working in a larger hoop, you're going to move your hoop mask to the area you're working in, and you're simply going to spray. Now, one of the questions we get all the time, some people say, should I use adhesive spray or should I not use adhesive spray? To tell you the truth is that adhesive spray has got a fantastic place in machine embroidery, because especially if you are working on large hoop areas or you're basically working on unhoopables, then it's fantastic to use the spray. So definitely certain times you will need to use adhesive sprays. But I know the headache of adhesive sprays is the gummed up hoops. Personally, I cannot take a gummed up hoop. I really, especially if it gets dust on it or hair or something on it, I just can't embroider with them. So I love squeaky clean hoops. And the thing is that these hoops are very expensive. So you want to protect them and have them to be perfect, right? But now it takes time if you need to clean them. Although you could take your hoop and you can wash it with Dawn and hot water, and you can clean your hoops, leave it overnight, and then you can clean it. It's taking time, you know, to clean up in all this place. So it's better to prevent and protect the spray on your hoops. And the way we are going to do it is by making our own hoop mask, and it's going to look really pretty, and it's nice to have a nice one in your sewing room than instead of just like a card book. There's many ways that you can do it. I've seen people that use felt to catch up the excess. They are all good, but we like pretty, right? So let's make a pretty hoop mask. Now, there are general rules with using a spray adhesive. The first thing is, what type of adhesive are you going to use? Now, there's many brands out there. Some are better for quilting, for basting, and others are better for machine embroidery. I'm going to cut straight to the point, and instead of talking about a lot of adhesives, I'm just going to tell you about my absolute favorite, the KK2000 from Sulky. It's an eco-friendly product, and it's got a clear aerosol, and it's odorless. It don't leave stains. It won't gum up your needles. It's easy to reposition the layers, and it don't contain water. So in other words, you can spray it on water-soluble stabilizers. So my absolute favorite is the KK2000, and the thing about it is that it holds on for your project, but it's only temporary. So that's the great thing is that you don't afterwards have to fight against the basting of it, because it will disappear. Now, general rules for applying this: we are applying the spray onto our stabilizer, right? At times you can apply it like to appliques and add it to it, but generally you are applying it to the stabilizer. It's always good to keep the distance when you are going to spray, and it might differ from manufacturer to manufacturer. The KK2000 asks for 6 inches, right? Almost like social distancing, just in a small way. So what you want to do is you want to keep the 6 inches distance, and you kind of like want to spray and wait a few seconds just for it to set down before you will add your fabric. Specifically with delicate fabrics, spray adhesive really got its place in machine embroidery. Now, quilting and basting adhesives will last longer than embroidery ones, but we are doing machine embroidery. That's why we want one that will not last as longer. It won't saturate your fabric. It's just spraying it on, and basically it makes like a film on top of your fabric, and it's not supposed to stain your fabric. And I specifically know that our eco-friendly KK2000 do not stain our fabric. Alright, so let's get started, and I'm going to make one for the 5x7 hoop. And like I said, you can move this one in a larger hoop. Especially I like to use the spray adhesive when working with large hoop areas. And let's get started. So I already cut my project board right over here, and this one is 13 by 11. Now, just to make it very precise, so what I want to do is I want to kind of like have the middle of this, so I know exactly the middle of my hoop. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make 6.5 inches is in the middle, right? And then I need to measure. This is the 6.5, right? So I need to measure the half of the 11 so that I can draw a crosshair, and this one will be on 5.5, right? And I'm going to take this one and just make sure it's lined up at the top so that I can draw my center line. Alright, so now you can see I've drawn my line right in the center, and what you kind of want to do now is take your hoop and you are going to just line up your embroidery hoop with your crosshair, right? So what you do then is take your pencil and you are just going to draw inside of your embroidery hoop. And it's really important to have your inner part of the embroidery hoop, it should be completely hooped, right, as though you're going to use it. And then I'm just tracing the inside part of my hoop, right? So there I've got it traced, and now we need to start measuring. Now for this I'm using a ruler, and you're going to measure 1/4 inch right around your template. When you go on the curved edges, we need to curve our, so basically you are tracing 1/4 inch smaller than this actual frame, just around. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to measure 1/4 inch, and we will connect the dots. We are now done with our 1/4 inch border around, and you can see that I went into the curve because that is important, else you will have difficulty to close up on the top. So now you need to make a rectangle in the middle, and you're going to measure 1 inch from each side, and you're simply going to connect them. Alright, we've got a lot of lines, but don't worry about that. What we need to do now is we are going to start cutting these inner blocks over here, right? We're just going to cut on the 1 inch line, and I'm going to take, when I measure, I'm taking a plastic ruler because it's just shorter, but I picked up this like stainless steel ruler. And I like to use this because I'm going to use a carpet knife, and with the carpet knife it's great to use with stainless steel so that you don't cut into the plastic of your ruler. So all I'm going to do now is I'm simply going to cut out this block, and remember, whenever you're using a carpet knife, make sure that your surface is protected. This is like a foam board I'm using at the bottom so that I don't cut into anything and ruin it. So I'm just going to cut out that center block of ours on the 1 inch line. And what you basically want to do, I should actually, in the instructions you will see that it's actually lettered, right, from A to B, and it shows you all of that. That's exactly what you should do. You should kind of like go from A to B, and I'm actually cutting on the 1 inch line when I start, right, and I'm going to cut from that side to this side, and you will see it's going to open up that little block of ours. So I'm just going to cut from A to B, because you will see now we are trying to cut this block out, but we are also cutting further, so we just have to go around over here and then it's cut out. Alright, so I'm going to go from this side, so I will start from the 1 or the 1/4 inch line, and I will go up until the 1/4 inch line. Okay. Alright, and this one I'm going to do the same. I'll go from the top of my 1/4 inch line, and I'm going to cut all the way through to my 1/4 inch line. Now, I think there was one that I did not cut. Which one is this? This one. Let me just go further over there when I started. So I've popped out this rectangle of our project board, and you're going to keep this aside because we're going to use it just now. So what we need to do now is, you can see that we've already cut these edges going from the 1/4 inch up until the 1/4 inch, but now we need to take our carpet knife and just simply go on making the curve, cutting out these little blocks over here. So you need to cut out the 4 blocks over here, and use your carpet knife. You want to go slow because I first do the sides that I can do with the ruler, and then gently. What you can also do to make it easier is take this like this art knife, and you can just punch around the edges. I like to do that because it's easier than trying to cut right through. So I take this art knife and kind of like help it first a bit, then trying to go around the edges, and then you can just gently, you can like punch it. See, that worked well. So take a knife, art knife like this, and just like make little punches in it so that it's easier. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut out all 4. Right, we've got the full part, and now we need to go on this 1/4 of an inch line, and I'm just taking my art knife again and I'm just going to like stipple right on the line. You just want to like poke a little hole right on the line, but not going through, because it's just helping you to bend it. So I'm just quickly going to poke so you can see I've poked little holes, and then you can see how easy it's going to flip up. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm quickly going to do all of them so that you can fold them up like this. I've done all 4 sides and I flipped them up, right? And now we need to cover our corners. And what I've done is I took that middle part of my rectangle, right? And I basically measured 4 pieces, and you want to make them 7/8, so they are like 1/8 less than an inch, so they are just slightly, because remember when you put them over here, the turn up that you did is going to take off from the inch, so it's better to have it a little bit smaller than an inch, and that's going to help you to fit. But now we need to curve them to go around our corners. So I'm just taking this little bottle of paint. You can take any round and just go around it, forming around it. So that's all you do. You're going to form around a bottle or anything that's a round shape. Now that our pieces are curved, it's time to glue them onto the sides. And I'm using quick grip glue. It really works well. And I'm using this little quilter's clips just to make it easier. You can even use clothing pegs or anything that little clips, but I'm using these. And I'm just starting on this edge, just using a little bit of glue, like a little block here on the end. I'm going to take my first one, right, and I'm going to take my clip and just let my clip hold it in there. Then I'm going to kind of like shape it. I want to shape it right to the edge over there. Pick it up and shape it, and then before you stick it to it, you would just want to add a little bit of glue. Right. I see that if you wait a few seconds with the glue just to let it set a bit, and then make sure that your shape right onto the edge like that. Okay, and I'm taking my clip and it's holding on, so you can see that that's a good size to work with. You kind of like want to put it down to the bottom, right, so that it's standing onto here, so that you can finish it off nicely from the front side. You can see the curved one over there. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to glue my 4 corners, and we'll get started with our placemat. All my corners are now in place, and when I turn it around, you can see it's already really neatly in the corners. And once we finish it off with our plastic placemat, you're going to see it's going to work really, really good. So what we need to do now is take our placemat, and I'm turning it right side down, And if there's any like stickers or anything from the back, you can simply pull it off, right? Not going to worry about that too much now, right? So I'm taking my hoop mask and I'm turning it down so that you will see on the edge how far you can start. This one has got a curve. Probably if you've got a mat that don't have a curve, it's got an angle, you can start there, but you kind of like want to put it, you will trim off if there's any excess, but you want to save as much as possible to the edge, right? Because this is the part that you're going to use to trim it on the inside part. So I'm just putting my placemat down, and you can kind of like already draw a line over here, just so that you know, right? This is where we're going to cut. And now what you want to do is you want to trace the inside part of your hoop, right? Just gently trace it, because that's what we're going to cut out before we glue it onto our front, so it's nice and neat. If these clips are making like a bowl, take them off. You can let it dry first before you try to trace with the clips on, alright? That's a good idea. Take off your clips. Don't try to trace with clips on, because you'll just do the shape of the clips. So I'm just slowly going around, tracing the shape of my inside part. And now that I'm done, what you want to do is you can use scissors, because it's really, just this one, right? Okay, let me close this up. Okay, so you can use scissors because you want to save as much as possible from, so don't start right in the middle. So you kind of like just want to bend it a bit and get a starting point as close as possible to your edge, right? Like that, so that you can start cutting into the mat. So don't start right in the middle. Sometimes I tend to forget and I make a hole in the middle. Don't do that, because you want to save that for if you need extra to go around the inside part. And then it becomes easier once you cut it open more. Just gonna go around. It cuts with ease, these plastic mats, and I'm just cutting my little mat, shaping the exact size already so that we can just use it on top. See, they have cut out my mat, and later on you can like slightly still trim if there's anything that is bothering you. And I'm just going to cut on the line that I've drawn, right? And now I'm taking my hoop mask and I'm going to cover it. Now you'll play around until you get exactly the way you've traced it. You will see which side is best so that it's exactly the same. That looks pretty good. So I'm just going to take some of my glue and I'm going to cover my area and place my placemat right. Now, you might wonder, why am I not using like hot glue? Because hot glue will work fairly well with this project. But because it's a lot of glue work that you're going to do, I prefer using this specific quick grip glue because I've got total control. Nothing is burning me. I can be more even. I won't make like thicker lumps on top of it. So I'm using this with this plastic and cardboard, and it's working extremely well, and there's no burning or there's no worrying about anything. But even the quick grip, it dries easily. So if you first want to do one part and then go on to the other part, stick it down first, you can do that. But I'm trying to work pretty fast and just cover our whole area. Once I'm done with the glue, I'm just going to make sure it's the best fit I can put it over. I'm going to stick it on and smooth it out. That looks pretty neat. Now you can turn it around, press it from this side. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to trim away any excess around from the back of my hoop, trimming away the excess of my plastic placemat. There we go, all neatly trimmed. Now, last thing we need to do before our hoop mask is complete is we are going to glue some of our excess of our strips. And what I want you to do is make sure that it's a full inch size, that you're going to cut all of your excess into strips, and we will complete it by gluing them into the inner part. So I went ahead and cut our excess pieces in full 1-inch strips, and there's enough, plentiful to finish it up. But I like to take the longer pieces first, and I start from like right in the middle of the shorter side, so that I can use my longer strip to be in both corners. See, like that. And it doesn't matter where you stop with it, because you're just going to take another piece and go on. So all you do is take your glue, and you're simply going to put enough. I make sure it's enough so I can do a neat job. Add enough of our glue, and already I go onto the corner side, just adding enough glue so it's easier for me. You can just like go over the corners, so that from there on you can go on again, adding more glue once you've sticked your corners. So I've got enough glue on there. So what you do is take one of your strips, kind of like, and I'm just folding it, and I'm going to hold it on first from the middle. Now when you are in the middle, hold it on so it's edging exactly with the top of it, and this looks like really neat. Like once you see it, you're gonna say, wow, this is so neat, right? You see that? You're going to hold it right up until the edge. So when I hold it like in the middle over there, I'm going to take my clips from the bottom, just helping me a little bit, alright? Okay. And if you get any glue on, don't worry about this, because this is what it's all about, the plastic that we can clean. And I'll show you just now how to do that. And then when you go on to the corners, you just take your time, stay right up until the edge, and you're going to force it in there and try to really make a nice corner. Hold it on, right? And once you put it in place, from the bottom, take your clips and let them hold it. They're like little extra hands, okay? And now with everything in place there, if you've got excess glue, don't worry about it, because we are going to clean that up. I'm going to show you how to clean it up, because that's what we do with a hoop mask. Alright, so I just hold it so that it's right until the end. So at first, once it starts sticking, you can like really press it right to the edge, because it's that press that's going to give you the beautiful shape, and you want to try and put it as close as possible to your corner. I'm holding on over there, can you see that? So I'm going to give it some love, hold it on. Same goes for this side. You just want to make sure you are lining up. Can you see how perfect that is on the edges? It's a really neat job, and this is really not hard to do. Just have a little bit patience, and you just make sure that you hold. This one is really easy, that corner. And then once you are happy with the position, you simply grab your clip, let it hold on from the bottom. And over here you can see that I don't have enough glue over there. All you do is simply keep on going, adding some glue, and you will go on. So now once our strip is done, all I will do is take another strip, and I'm just going to start exactly over there, and I will complete it until it's all covered. So I'm going to complete this, and then I'm going to show you that if there gets any glue on your hoop mask, how do we clean that. We are now done with our hoop mask, and it's neatly finished off, and I think we did an incredible job. I really like this hoop mask. Looks like a store-bought one, and it's going to look pretty in your sewing room. Now, if you did get any of the glue onto your hoop mask, don't worry about that at all, because I'm going to show you a neat trick. But before I show you the trick, I want to just say something. Never ever spray any adhesive spray near your computer or near your embroidery machine. Make sure you are in a well ventilated area. Your hoop can be lying flat on a surface, and you will take your hoop mask and you will move it around into the parts that you want to spray onto, right? So make sure that you are nowhere near your computer or your machine, so that the overspray gets onto any of that. But this is pretty much going to stop the overspray. I'm just being cautious, not going near any electronics with the adhesive spray. Well, I want to show you a pretty neat trick. I did not know this at first, but now I'm always going to remember this. If you ever get glue on your hands, just when I was gluing this part onto our hoop mask, I was full of glue everywhere. I did leave a little bit of glue over there so I can show you. When I went to wash my hands, I took some hand sanitizer, which you all know very well. And since we are talking about masks, how funny is this? We're talking about hand sanitizer. So we are using hand sanitizer for machine embroidery as well. So I took some hand sanitizer, and when you go over the glue, it takes the stickiness of the glue off, and the glue comes right off. I'm pretty amazed by how quick glue comes off your hands when you are using some hand sanitizer. So remember that when little children get glue on their hands, or you've got stickiness and you just want to remove that, hand sanitizer does the job. With that said, it's a great way to clean our hoop mask. So let's say there's some of the overspray and your hoop starts to get, or your hoop mask starts to get sticky. All you're going to do is take some of your hand sanitizer, and you are going to clean your hoop mask, and it works fantastic. I'm really amazed. Now, usually you can use the natured alcohol, and probably this is why hand sanitizer works so great, because it's alcohol as well, and it's going to do no harm to your embroidery hoop or to your hoop mask, or even on your skin. It's going to work very, very well. So I'm pretty amazed with how good this works. So I'm cleaning it, but you can also use the denatured alcohol. You can also use nail polish remover, but no acetone. Never ever use acetone near your embroidery hoops or even near your hoop mask, because this is what makes this hoop mask so effective, is this plastic coating of our placemat, right? So this is working very, very well, and it cleans super easy, and you can clean it, even you can use like a cloth with some water and Dawn as well if you want to clean it, but use some hand sanitizer, works perfectly. So now that we know how to clean our hoops, if there's any, or not our hoops, our hoop mask, if there's any glue on it, or even our hands, let's make some pretty hoop masks. And I think this is a neat gift as well. If you want to, you know, one of your friends love all these kind of projects that she's using with some adhesive spray, why don't you make her a pretty hoop mask and put like a ribbon around it, say, well, I've got the perfect gift for you, because now you can help your embroidery hoops to stay clean. I hope you enjoyed it and learned something with this. I think this is a pretty neat technique. So go make your own professional hoop mask.